Hello, welcome to the Turret of Pleasure. Here in the enchanted kingdom of Hermione. I'm your host, Zip Gun, the Lord Chamberlain of the Enchanted Kingdom. Some sad news, as is often the case in my news bulletins, but somebody's got to announce these things because this one really flew under the radar, which might have made this fellow happy because as a record executive, for whatever reason, and I don't know exactly why, he was not a big figure, a big character. He preferred to do his work kind of in the shadows. And what work? I am speaking, of course, of Andrew Lauder, who passed away about 4 days ago now. And I was unaware of this until on Facebook I saw a post by the Stranglers saying, rest in peace, Andrew Lauder. So I went, oh, really? Andrew Lauder died. I went to the internet, and there was no mention of his passing, nor was there the next day or the day after. It took 3 days. Now, you might say, so what? The guy's a suit and a record label. Well, yes, perhaps. But this guy had a career, and I also found out upon his passing that he wrote a book. So you'll be hearing about that once I get it. Andrew Lauder, he was a young man. Talk about being the right place, right time, right moment. At the age of, I believe it was 20, he was introduced by a fellow to another fellow who was starting up Liberty Records of UK. And Liberty in those days was an independent label, Liberty and Imperial. And because nobody knew anything about anything at 1966, I think it might have been, at Liberty Records UK, he kind of, first of all, he did a bunch of reissues, great, Fats Domino, all that stuff. And then he started signing bands. And he signed bands like the Bonzo Dog Band, or the Groundhogs. He signed the Groundhogs apparently for £50. And he licensed Captain Beefheart and the Magic Band's Strictly Personal record for England, which was really a weird record for, I think, 67. Anyways, he was having a ball just as a kid. And then Liberty Records Worldwide was bought by Transamerica, which owned United Artists Records, and therefore United Artists kind of absorbed Liberty Imperial, among with a few other labels. I think they also bought Blue Note at that time. And so Lauder found himself working for United Artists and found himself the de facto, well, at first he was basically the same thing, kind of label manager. And then the smart fellows at Chrysalis, this would be 1969, they tried to poach him. They tried to, get him to work for them. And so United Artists said, no, we want to keep this guy. So they gave him more responsibility. I think they basically made him head of A&R. And my God, the bands this guy signed in the 70s for United Artists in England is like a who's who of bands that made a big difference in music, like Can, Amandul, Hawkwind, Motorhead, the band Man from Wales, Jerry Rafferty, who had a gigantic hit. And United Artists kind of didn't get up to much in America. They were a mini major, I guess you might say. But in Britain, they really, and then when punk came along, he signed the Vapors, and he signed the Stranglers, and he signed the Buzzcocks. So he was just, at one point, and then he sort of bounced around. He started Radar Records, which was mainly the Yachts, Nick Lowe, Elvis Costello, Bram Tchaikovsky. And that he did for about maybe a year, I don't know. Then he formed F-Beat Records with Jake Rivera, and that was pretty much exclusively Nick Lowe, Elvis Costello, Then he formed the Demon Music Group, which started out as a singles label, but turned into a kind of a reissue thing, which is a huge thing now. And then he worked for Island for a while, signed a little band called U2. And then he kind of went, and he, like all of these guys, after a while, he was almost like a legend. And he formed a thing that ultimately became Floating World. And I've got some Floating World records, sort of a reissue thing. Anyways, I'll bet you've never heard of him. And, which is too bad, because this guy had a track record that just is mind-blowing. There's people I've completely missed. Dr. Feelgood he signed. Basically anything cool. When I was a kid in the 70s, United Artists, if it was on United Artists, you'd have a look at it. I'm on Duel, eh? Wonder what the heck this is all about. Hawkwind, wow. Groundhogs. Very few duds. I've got a couple of Roger Ruskin Spear records on United Artists that really have his fingerprints all over them. I can't believe they ever sold. But there you go. He stuck with artists when they left bands. He stuck with Lemmy when he left Hawkwind. He stuck with Deke Leonard when he left Man. He stuck with Roger when he left the Bonzos. By all accounts, a really good guy. And like I say, didn't have the profile of, say, a Clive Davis or, some of these other Walter Yetnikoff or Mo Austin or whomever, but impactful in his own way, and had a career to be really proud of. On a bunch of labels that didn't have the clout. Like, it was one thing to be the head of CBS or Warner's. They got money, they got clout. United Artists, when he started it with Liberty, they were just a nothing little label. So he really did well with the resources at his disposal. And I think he died much more liked than not by most people. And you can't ask for much better than that in the music business. So rest in peace, Andrew Lauder. He died in France. I hope he was enjoying a lovely retirement. I'm ordering his book tomorrow, and I will add detail to this. But I figured I should mention it just because I was shocked that it took so long to hit the internet. The guy that signed U2, everybody forgot about him. Anyway, there you have it. Sad news, but a celebration in my world. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification button and all that other stuff. And when, again, hopefully fewer people die and more people put out good records. And we can talk about those. But we're getting to that point where some of the greats are slipping the veil. Take it easy. Look after each other. Don't take any wooden nickels or shit from Whitey. And we'll talk to you later.